Hi everybody, welcome to Gardening with Mike. Now, I bought this piece of hazel about 6 months ago with the intention of leaving it a couple of seasons and then turning it. It was bought wet, in other words, it hadn't long been cut. It's been fully wax sealed, but as you see, it started to sprout. So rather than turning it as it is, I am going to try and save some of these shoots and see if we can get them planted out in the garden a little bit later in the season. Okay, now I'm not a gardener. Well, not a very good one anyway, so I don't know exactly what I'm doing here, but I'm going to try and take as much of the wood as I can around the shoot to try and keep it as intact as possible. If it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, then at least we've tried. I think I'll leave the rest as they are. Right, I'm going to give these another thorough watering and then we'll come back and get started. Okay, so this is what we're left with. It's wet wood, as we've mentioned, so I'm not quite sure whether or not we're going to do a twice turning on this. So in other words, we're going to turn it, let it dry out thoroughly and then return it, or whether or not we're going to turn it once and then let it dry naturally and see how it changes shape. Now, I've never turned hazel before, so I am quite looking forward to this. Now, in terms of which way up, I think because these wings are higher than the base of the wood, I think this has to be the base. So I'm going to attach it to the lathe between centres. We'll find a centre somewhere around there, I think. So we'll get it on and then we'll start. Okay. We've got a nice balance on the lathe, so we can start turning at about 700 RPM. We do have a rotten bit in here, which I've only just noticed. I was too preoccupied with the small things growing out of it. So we're going to have to see what happens with that. Initially, we're just going to start working up the edges and seeing what we uncover. Okay, it's coming on nicely. You can see that's the rotten area we've got in here. So we need to think about that very, very carefully. There's a wonderful smell in here of wood. It really is quite nice. Okay, we'll keep on going. Keep on taking these wings up and see what kind of shape we get. Okay, right, I'm going to quickly remove this bark because it keeps on slapping him in the back of the hand. It's not a great feeling. Okay, nearly at the top of the wings. This really does go in a long way. This may have to, might need some surgery at some point. So this, I think, is going to determine whether or not this is once or twice turned. Right, I'm going to quickly sharpen up again. We shall continue. see the extent of the problem we've got here, which is fine. There's not an awful lot we can't really handle. We're at the top of the wings, which is nice. We are going to lose the bark, there's no doubt about that. It's a very nice light wood. There's a few speckles in here as well, which could be mineral deposits, I'm not quite sure. Right, I'm going to take it down a little bit further so I can get past all of this side bark. So another inch or so in, I think. Like that. Taking it in that extra inch on the side, but still leaving the top as it was, has given this beautiful shape, which I really like. Now we've got an area of wood here which is obviously still very wet and still very rotten, and ideally what I'd love to do there is either seal it, put some resin in or something like that, but you can't do that with wet wood because it will change shape and the resin obviously won't flex with the shape of the wood. So I think we are going to head towards a twice turned bowl with this one. So I'm going to create a foot and a tenon, and then we can turn it around and start hollowing it out. When that's all done, we're going to wrap this in its own shavings so it can dry nice and slowly without changing shape too much. Okay, created a nice little foot and a tenon as well. So we'll turn this around, get it in the jaws and start hollowing out. Okay, turned it around. Now we're going to start hollowing this out, but because we have decided to twice turn this, I'm not going to go particularly thin on the walls because this piece will move over the time. It'll start to distort, change shape, and we need to be able to have enough wood there so when we do return it, we can get it back to round. Tailstock at the start, but it's not giving me an awful lot of room, so it's not going to be there for very long. Okay, that's as much as we can do with the tailstock there. So I'm going to take this away, sharpen up and then we shall continue. It's going well. We need to try and make sure we have an even wall thickness as we're going down. So I'm just going to turn the tool rest in a bit. Okay, now I think that is about it. We've got nice even wall thickness all the way around. That bit of rock we've got, as you can see, it goes through the centre and it's given it quite a nice bit of colour. So right, let's get this off the lathe and then we'll prepare this ready to spend some time in a box. Okay, we're off the lathe. I've got a pair of scales because we need to measure the weight of this first before we put it away for storage. That's 1.16 kilograms. And the date today is the 26th. Right. So we can come back to this periodically, reweigh it, and see how it's coming along. We need it to probably get down to about 600 grams, maybe a little bit more. I'm not quite sure of the density of Hazel, so I'll have to look that up to see what a kind of dry weight would be to turn this off, to finish it off. Okay, so we're going to sit it in a box with its own shavings. Main reason is because we don't want this to dry out too quickly. And there's still, ow, ow, ow. And there's still a lot of moisture in the shavings, so it'll help it dry it slowly. We did a video last year about drying wood slowly, and I'll put a link to that at the end of this video. Right, that should do it. I shall go and put this somewhere safe. And we'll come back to this at a point in the future. Twice turning is a great way of getting relatively cheap wood and allowing you to practice turning bowls and then returning them when they've dried. Wet blanks are massively cheaper as opposed to dry, stored, ready to turn wood, for obvious reasons. So anyway, there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, I would love a like and subscribe and all the usual things. And if you leave a comment as well, then you're going to be entered into the giveaway, which is happening on Tuesday. But apart from that, thank you very much indeed for watching. I'll see you soon. Thank you.